Hi, everyone. Coming to you live from my dining room table because that window gets the best light, better than any ring light. And I don't get that like annoying circle things. Hands up if you are neurodivergent and you hate the ring light and it distracts you because of the little circle on your adorable glasses. High five. All right. I am here to talk to you today about the five felt senses plus one that maybe you're aware of, but you didn't know was a thing. So, welcome. I am Cheryl. I use they, them pronouns. I am the founder and creator of Sensory Balance Space Inc., where inclusion becomes a lived experience. At Sensory Balance Space Inc., we go far beyond providing STIM items or a quiet room. Great on its own. We want to go deeper. Each sensory balance space is designed to engage and regulate all five felt senses: sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell, plus one often overlooked but deeply influential sense: energetics. By understanding and intentionally shaping these six sensory layers, we create spaces where people don't just feel safe, they feel seen in a good way. Before I get into each sense and how we meet those needs within our spaces, I want to really take a minute to talk about why this is important from a term of the nervous system and supporting guests at live events. So, in terms of the nervous system, when we go into a fear response, when our nervous system feels threatened, there are any number of ways that you might respond. You might become fight, you might be flight, like you just got to get out of there, or you start getting irritable and barky at everyone. You might go into freeze, where you just kind of shut down. If you're like me, you start to talk less, you get tired. Every question anyone asks you, your answer is no. No, no, I'm okay. I'm good. I'm fine. Leave me alone. Like, basically, stop talking to me. I don't need any more demands. So I'm just going to say no to everything. Um, all of those kinds of things. So that's fight, flight, freeze. And then we've got the fawn response, where you just start people pleasing and anticipating everyone else's needs to deflect off of you, but also to maybe reduce the sense of threat. So those are the four most common. Obviously, there's some other ones, but those are the four most common that we experience. And when we're in those, we're in a not self theme, right? We're disempowered. We're making our choices and decisions to either avoid the threat, subdue the threat, placate the threat, or just kind of hide in plain sight until the threat is over. That is a normal response built into the nervous system from evolution. However, our thinking, feeling, and creative brains have grown past the need to perceive every single tiny little threat as like a T Rex chasing us. So, what by anchoring into our senses, we're able to become present in the body, reduce our stress, and make more empowered choices. And that is the whole point. I don't want any of my guests at any of the events I attend feeling like they shoulda, woulda, coulda, or they have to be a certain way in order to participate. So, by understanding and intentionally shaping these six sensory layers, we create spaces where people don't just feel safe, they feel seen in a good way and supported. So, let's start with sight. Visual calm is one of the most important regulators of the nervous system. And often, when we focus only on calm, we leave out our sensory seeking folks. So we use soft lighting and vibrant color palettes in organized methods and visual organization to reduce overwhelm and promote a sense of grounding and clarity. We're organized into three visible zones in any space that we're hired into. And if you'd like to discuss that in more depth, let's reach out and we can get on a call and we can have a chit chat. For sound, our spaces are carefully arranged with lower but not quiet noise levels, and we introduce gentle and consistent sounds to soothe rather than startle. In some cases, we will have ambient music or soft white noise or silence, and they're chosen based on the event and environment and to support regulation. So this might look like when were at the Nanaimo Women Awards Network. um, award show. I butchered the name of that. The Women of Influence Nanaimo Awards. There we go. When we're at that show, for example, they have up to 700 guests attending every year. And so, what we've done to lower the intensity is we keep the door shut whenever possible, keeping an eye out for our mobility aid users so that they can come and go freely. And we have the main stage video feed playing on the TV with reduced sound so that people can still see who's going, they can see who's up for an award, they can cheer and celebrate, and they don't miss their own category without having to be in the main room with all of the chatter, all of the music, all of the microphone feedback, the sound of the AC. If you are sound sensitive and competing auditory sounds cause your brain to short circuit, hi, it's me, it can be very difficult for you to sit through. And what if you're category number 11? It's like 90 minutes later and you're completely fried and now you win and you're supposed to give an acceptance speech? No, no, we don't do that here. So we've created a softer auditory experience for our guests where they can come and they can stay on track, total self regulation, total autonomy without feeling the need to leave the event and like their needs weren't thought of. Number three, touch. Tactile input anchors people back into their bodies. From weighted items and soft texture to grounding object and temperature control, every element is selected to foster comfort, containment, and sensory satisfaction. We have everything from fidget toys and like modeling putty to coloring to breathing exercises that you can do on your own. And our trained facilitator is there if you need some verbal processing or co regulation in the form of guided mindfulness exercise. We pay attention to smell because scent is powerful. It can calm, it can energize, or it can trigger stress. We use scent strategically and lightly with hypoallergenic and neutral options to create balanced, inviting atmosphere without overstimulation, depending on your event. This could be as simple as scented chapsticks. This could be as simple as essential oil rollers. And if it allows for it, like a private wedding or another intimate setting, we could have candles and stuff. We can talk about that when you book your quote. Number five, taste. Simple, gentle snacks that are allergy sensitive and hit those main things like sour, salty, spicy, minty, whatever it is to activate that sensory information because your mouth and your taste buds have some of the most nerve endings in your whole body. So it's really, really hard to get stuck in your head and to dissociate from where you are right now if your sense of taste is calling you back into your physical body. It allows you to slow down, be in the moment, and bring on board some of those other tools that we've talked about. Taste is rarely considered in sensory information and accessibility, but it's one of the most quiet ways that a person can reconnect to their body and mind. And one of my favorite things to do is to create little takeaway kits with one object from each of these five felt senses that guests can take back to their guest table. Guests can take with them when they go back home so that when they're in the airport or driving home or taking transit, they can still self regulate in a way that is discreet and empowering for them. What I want to talk about is the sensory balance space ink difference, which is the sixth felt sense, energetics. Every environment carries an energetic tone, the way the space feels, what's beyond visible. And throughout the evening, afternoon, or day, or multiple day events, the frequency might change. It might jump up and go down. Like if you've been to multi day events, you know they use the music, they use physical activity, where they place different speakers, all to keep the energetics of the event in a certain way. Neurodivergent folks and folks who are sensitive to these kinds of things have a much like lower window of tolerance for abrupt energy shifts. So our trained facilitators use a trauma-informed and neurosomatic training framework to maintain emotional regulation within the sensory balance space itself. Through co regulation, calm presence, and attunement, we help guests feel psychologically and emotionally safe, not just physically comfortable. And we do it by paying attention to so many subtle cues, choosing intentional frequency carrying things like low volume sound codes, crystals, plants, colors, sacred geometry. There's so many things that go into it. This attention to energetics is what transform a room into a sensory balance space instead of a quiet room or a stim room. It's what turns inclusion from a checklist into a living experience of safety, connection, and belonging. And here's why it matters. True accessibility isn't about minimizing difference or mitigating friction. It's about designing from the bottom up an experience that includes everybody. And by engaging all six felt senses, Sensory Balance Space Inc. helps event organizers create environments where people of all neurotypes can participate fully and confidently with more ease than they would otherwise find. Because inclusion isn't just about who's invited, it's about who can stay. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you would like to reach out and connect, I've left the links in the description, and I'm so excited to come to an event near you. Bye for now.